Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be sharing with you 4 of our top tips that you need to learn if you want to win more games in FIFA 23 this year. Not only are you watching this video may be thinking, oh here we go, it's just the generic tips, but these 4 foundational tips are the most important tips that you need to learn if you want to win more games in FIFA. So as always, to show your support, make sure that you smash the thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notifications bell so that you know exactly when we release new content. So going into tip number 1, it is to build the most meta team that you can build. And this might sound really obvious, but obviously a lot of people like to play FIFA in their own way. Some people do like to abuse the meta and build the most meta teams. Some people like to build with players that they like, and some people like to go with something in between. But if your sole aim is to just win more games, you're not bothered about how you do it, you just want to win more games, then building the most meta team is going to give you the best opportunity to win games. A good example of this is pairing 2 people that have the exact same skill level together. So let's say player A has a 1 million coin team. He likes to play tiki-taka, so he's got players in there like Xavi's, like Xavi Alonso's, players like that in his team. And then you pair him up against someone with the same skill but has a 15 million coin super team with Mbappe's and Vinicius's and Neymar's. In that case, of course, player number 2 is most likely going to win, probably 8 or 9 out of those 10 games, because he's got the more meta cards, he's got the better team. Despite being exactly the same skill level, if you have a more meta team, when you come up in those tight games, you're going to have the advantage. You're going to have more of the luck. You're going to have more of the bounces. You're going to have more of the meta players to be able to make the difference, especially in those tight games. Now, one thing to note is just because you have a meta team, if you're a 10-win player, let's say in Foot Champs, just if you have a God squad that's like 20 mil, you're not going to go from 10 wins to like 17 wins. You might go from 10 wins to 12 wins, but you've still won a couple more games. And that's the difference that a good team makes you, especially a meta team, is it will give you that extra 1 or 2 wins every weekend league, which might be all you're searching for. Moving into tip number 2, it is to abuse whatever the current broken meta is and the broken mechanics are at that moment in time. So a good example of this was at the start of the game this year when lengthy meta. You remember when the lengthy players, such as the Haalands, such as the Lewandowskis, all those guys that had that lengthy sort of body type at the start of the game, or that acceleration type, they were the ones that were overpowered. They were the ones that were broken. Especially a lot of the top level players were abusing that because it was the most effective way to score. So when you're trying to win more games and try and put yourself in a better position to win more games, you've got to use everything to your advantage, whether that's team, whether that's tactics, whether that's broken game mechanics. So like we said, that lengthy meta at the moment, obviously pace and power is really important and kind of what the meta is right now. Now later on in the game might get patched a little bit and crossing might become super overpowered. So obviously having big tall strikers that can head the ball, if you know crossing becomes overpowered, you need to be able to move with the times, and whatever that current meta is right now, you need to master it as quick as possible. You know, in previous games when it was like first time finesse shots or timed finishing from a certain angle, whatever is meta at that moment in time, you need to be able to sort of master it as quick as possible and get it into your game. Now, of course, it won't stay the same the whole game. Things get patched, but you need to be able to move between the things just to give yourself the best chance to win games. So before we go into tip number 3, if you guys are enjoying the video and you would like to see more, then make sure you drop a thumbs up, and also let us know down in the comment section if there's any other video topics that you'd like us to cover. We always use your comments to decide what videos to create next. So let's go into tip number 3. So moving into tip number 3, it is to utilize all of your game plans in your custom tactics section. Now we see this all the time and not many people do this. We was in a game the other day where we went 2-0 down very quickly, and what we managed to do was, because we had all of our different game plan tactics set up the way we like, it allowed us to get back into the game with relative ease. And conversely, our opponent continued to play the exact same way despite being 2-0 up, and that allowed us the opportunity to get back into the game and eventually win the game 6-2 and having rage quit at around 73 minutes. So what do we mean when we say utilize all gameplay and custom tactics? Now, what we mean by this is to have a set of custom tactics that suit each system in a game and every situation that might occur in the game. So start off with maybe 2 formations that you like. So for us personally, we really like the 4-2-2 and we like the 5-2-1-2. They're probably our 2 favorite formations that we like to use. So we set those up in the usual way that we like to play. So whatever your style is. For us, we like to play fast. We like to play with, you know, direct passing. We like to play quite aggressive on the front foot. But once we get a 2-goal lead, we now change into a different formation. We don't want to keep playing on that direct passing and taking those risks with players, you know, getting forwards and getting out of position, because that's going to give our opponent chance to exploit that space, which if they're a good player, eventually they will. So it means that you need to drop into a different formation. So we use something like the 4-4-1-1. Now, you don't have to use these exact formations. They are what we like to use for our style of play. So we drop into a more defensive formation, not to go drop back one depth, but so we're a bit harder to break down. Once we get a 2-goal lead, that's really, really important. Get a 2-goal lead, change into something that allows you to control the game and be a little bit harder to break down. But then we've got players on the counter, and this is where your team comes into it, players to be able to exploit him on the counter as he goes more aggressive trying to get back into the game. It allows us then to be able to exploit the space in behind. So being able to sort of change on the fly with our different gameplay setups is something that a lot of people don't use and don't really think it's important. But trust me, it's one of so many games for various different situations. This is a must that you need to do. And then finally, the fourth tip is to only play games when you're in a positive mindset. Now, this seems to be something that gets on people's nerves quite a lot, and that kind of just really drives the point home. A lot of people have a very negative mindset when they're playing FIFA, and it's understandable. The game can be extremely frustrating at sometimes. You can concede some real stupid goals, some real AIDS goals that you can't help but getting frustrated at, and that's okay. It's not about not getting frustrated at all, but it's when you're frustrated, you shouldn't play this game because you're not putting yourself in the best position to win games. Another little bonus tip that we like to do when we're playing games, and this works for us, and you have to kind of find things that work for you. We really like to listen to music, so we stick our AirPods on and we like to listen to music. And the reason why this helps, it just helps us stay calm because we're actually less focused necessarily on the game, more focused on the music that's in our ears. So it just allows us to stay very, very calm when we're playing. We played a game, like I said, that game we played the other day, went 2-0 down very, very quickly and conceded 2 of the most AIDS goals we've conceded all year. It was very, very bad in the way that we conceded those goals. Extremely unlucky. But because of a combination of we had the team, we had the tactics, and we was playing in a positive and calm and relaxed mindset, we was able to get back into that game, win it 6-2 and get our opponent to rage quit, you know, at the 73rd minute. So it's very, very important that we stay positive. A lot of people get very, very frustrated, get very negative, especially when AIDS things happen to them, and that's very understandable. But if you lose the game because of an AIDS goal or whatever, you have to take a break. You have to walk away for 20-30 minutes, turn the game off, go and do something else, and only play the game. So if you're playing Foot Champs, you got to make sure that you're on your A game for every match. If you can walk into a Foot Champs game and go, I wasn't quite on it, I wasn't quite in it, then you obviously put yourself in a bad, disadvantage. You've got to walk into every game going, I gave it my best, I gave it 100%, I was fully in it, I gave myself the best opportunity to win, and that is how you're going to win more games in FIFA 23. So a lot of people might listen to those tips and think they're very, very generic, they're very, very boring, they're very simple, everybody says these things, but they are 4 of the most foundational things. These are like the pillars that you need. A lot of the other sort of little tidbits on top of that, whether it be skill moves, whether it be, learning how to defend a certain way or defending the box or attack down the wing, these are all little things, little tiny little extensions on these things. But if you don't have these 4 foundational things down, all those little things on top of it are irrelevant. If you have a crap team, if you have bad tactics, you're not playing in a positive mindset, all that other stuff becomes irrelevant. So that's why you've got to get these 4 things down. That's why these things crop up a lot in a lot of other people's videos. A lot of people say these things because these are the 4 things that are really, really critical and crucial. You have to master these things before any of that other stuff becomes relevant. So it's really important you master these 4 tips, and then you can extend beyond that. So as we said earlier in the video, if you do want us to continue to make more videos like this one, then make sure that you smash the thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on the notifications bell. And if you do want to ask us any further questions, make sure you join our Discord. The link to that is down in the description. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.